top of the Lord's agenda when he comes back. And you really can't get away from it. It's unmistakable because of what he compared it to. So this is Jeremiah 16. And we did a lesson dealing with identifying Israel a little bit not too long ago. But verse 13, Jeremiah 16 and verse 13, because the Lord say all over how he was going to curse Israel for disobedience. And always the bottom line of the curse was going into captivity or going into slavery. That's always the end result for Israel. That's how you can identify Israel. Israel is a slave. Wherever he at as a whole, you know, because you can, if you want to, you can probably leave America, you know, an individual as Israel and leave America and go to France. People have done that. Mm-hmm. But that's minute compared to as a whole, wherever Israel is as a whole, they was taken there as slaves. So Jeremiah 16 and verse 13. Go ahead, brother.
Therefore will I cast you out of this land into a land that ye know not.
See, it cast you out don't mean you're going to walk out. It don't mean you're going to migrate to some more lands. It means you're going to get kicked out and somebody came and got you. That's how the Lord cast you out. See, Israel didn't leave as a whole. Israel didn't leave voluntarily. They got cast out. Somebody came and took them out. And you got the examples of it in the Bible. So I will cast you out of this land into a land that you know not. So even in this country, when our forefathers got here, they didn't have a clue about this land. Neither what?
Neither ye nor your father.
They didn't, none of them know about this land or the other lands we went into slavery. Go ahead.
And there shall ye serve other gods day and night, where I will not show you favor.
Well, he said, you're going to serve other gods. See, that's what we do. We got all kinds of churches, but they serving other gods. That's why our condition ain't got no better. That's why you got to test stuff up when, you know, one of the young boys gets shot because the condition haven't got no better. So he said, therefore, I will cast you out. And there, when you go to these lands but you didn't know nothing about, he said, you're going to serve other gods. See, that's why we celebrate things that's dedicated to other gods. Not dedicated to the God of the Bible. You can't find it in the Bible. But when you celebrate some so-called godly stuff and it's not dedicated to this God, guess what it is? It's another God. It's another God. Either you're going to serve God or you're not. You can't serve both. So he said, you're going to serve other gods day and night, where I will show you no favor. Now, who around here not getting no favor? Let's say it's only one people not getting no favor. Somebody said, you know, and they got a thing like this Mike Brown thing. They got a thing where they're trying to come up with a law where the policemen need to wear cameras, right? You think that's gonna solve it? Like somebody just said, brother, somebody said, well, hey, they had a camera with Rodney King. They didn't have a camera, but somebody had a camera filming the whole thing. And yet, what was the verdict? Not guilty. Because God is not showing you no favor. You think it's the police. He said, well, I will not show you favor. So this is our predicament now. But the good news is coming up, verse 14.
Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that it shall no more be said, the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt.
So by us getting cast out to land that we didn't know, in captivity, in slavery, you know what that did for the Lord? That set the stage for the greatest deliverance from slavery that has ever taken place. The only thing close to it or comparable to it is when he brought Israel out of Egypt. See, you know Israel is not at home until you see the same type of deliverance that happened when he sent Moses to deliver the slaves from Egypt. And that wasn't no, you know, lightweight deliverance. That was miraculous. All kind of miracles and signs, all kind of drama took place till finally he split the Red Sea and drowned the Egyptian army in the Red Sea. That's how it ended, miraculously. So until you see that, people say, well, Israel went home in 1948. Not, because you didn't see nothing like that. Notice he said, therefore, behold, the days come, said the Lord, since I didn't cast you out. The days come, said the Lord, that it shall no more be said, the Lord liveth that brought up the children of Israel out of the land in Egypt. In other words, you're not going to have occasion to talk about what the Lord did when he brought Israel out of Egypt. And guess what? That's the only thing you can talk about right now. Because he ain't did nothing comparable yet. So every year, same time of year, they put the movie on the Ten Commandments. What is that talking about? And the Lord brought them out of Egypt, right? Because that's what happened. He came out of Egypt, then he gave them the Ten Commandments. Well, it's going to be a Ten Commandments part 2 is what he get ready to tell you. And you ain't going to remember part 1. Part 1 ain't going to mean nothing no more. This is what he's telling you, because he said, behold, the days come. It's coming. It's still coming, said the Lord, that it shall no more be said, the Lord liveth that brought the children of Israel out of the land. In other words, you ain't going to talk about that. That was the big thing. To this day, that's the big thing. But what you going to talk about? 15.
But the Lord liveth that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north and from all the lands whether he had driven them. And I will bring them again unto their land that I gave unto their father.
Oh, that's what you're going to talk about when he finished this, which is coming soon. Haven't happened yet because we still scatter, right? But he said, you're not going to talk about what I did when I brought them out of Egypt. He said, but what you going to talk about, the Lord liveth that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north and from all the lands with the indifferent. Don't nobody talk about that, do they? You know why? Because it hasn't happened yet. The biggest thing on the agenda to this day is what happened in Egypt. That's why that movie come on. But it had to be another movie when this happened. Because you ain't going to even think about Egypt no more. You're going to say, whoa, that is God. He brought them people, them crazy black people that were scattered all over the world. And he brought them all together back home. And it's going to be miraculous because the nations don't want to let God do what he say he's going to do. They not going to say, oh, okay, you come in. Did Pharaoh say, okay, I'm going to let him go? I'm sorry, I didn't know you wanted him. No, Pharaoh didn't do it. The world not going to do it. The world going to be like, these are slaves. They've been our slaves a long time. But the Lord liveth that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north. That's north in proximity to Israel. Everything was in proximity to that. And from all the lands, though, where he had driven them, and I will bring them again. That means we got kicked out into their land that I gave unto their father. And that's what we're waiting on now. So now we'll open up for any questions. Not everybody at the same time. Go ahead.
All right, now, Thanksgiving just passed, whatever the case may be. And I was on YouTube, just looking up Thanksgiving and things about it, whatever like that. I don't celebrate. Right. But basically, I came across these different type of Hebrews. It's like, I know they were talking kind of stuff wasn't matching up, but basically they were trying to say like they were trying to get the 12 tribes of Israel like
a chart.
So, but I'm like. And then they went in Deuteronomy and basically said, like, for the Indians, they were the tribe of, who was it?
Manasseh, Gad.
I think so. And saying how, they came, or they'll be sailed back on ships and boats to Egypt, which of course means bondage, but they had got shipped back to Europe. But basically, they were just trying to say all these different types of people came out of the 12 tribes of Israel.
Right.
Which I think was false, but the way they kind of the way they kind of had it set up, like that.
Right.
It didn't make it.
Right. Yeah, they say the Negroes in America, Negroes, but Judah, Judah from tribe. They say.
I'm like, but that's not what it said.
Haitians is Levi, he from Puerto Rico. Right. So, but what's your point? Because you start off with Thanksgiving, so you lost.
Yeah, so I don't know. I was just trying to figure out something to talk about, but But basically, that's what they were.
Yeah, they teach that.
They were just trying to say how the Indians were
part of Israel.
Yeah, and it was just trying to line it up with the scriptures on how. They said they would be sold back into bondage. Right. They didn't actually go back to Egypt. They went back to Europe. So I just
that ain't got nothing to do with it. But look at this. Let's look at Deuteronomy 28, first of all. Let's look at Deuteronomy 28. So the Lord said that Israel would be scattered, like we just read a little bit in Jeremiah 17. Was that 16, 17? 16. We just read that. So he said that Israel was going to get cast out the land. And that's how you can identify Israel. But that tribal thing, where you're supposed to know the tribes you're from, the only place they go to really, they go to some other books, first of all. That's what they have to do. Usually when you find people that's got some false doctrine, they can't prove it in here, so they run to some other books. And that's what, you know, I've been dealing with for a long time. And we run about the Bible every time. They say, well, we need our other books. Yeah, we'll bring them back next time. It ain't in this book. But I know some people that was a part of that even know how it came up, how they got to that lie. But Deuteronomy 28, this is what the Lord said he was going to do to the whole nation of Israel. But I was going to say, the only scripture that they really go to in the Bible is like Genesis, when Jacob blessed his 12 sons. So they go to Genesis 50, 49 or 50, I think it's 50, when Jacob gave the blessing to the 12 tribes. And they tried to, you know, glean something from each one of those blessings to say who the son is today. But you can't do that, brothers and sisters, because when they take you into slavery, they don't take you in an orderly fashion. They don't have a ship for Ephraim. Okay, y'all going into slavery, but we want all Ephraim on this boat. And we want all Judah on this boat. That's what you would have to do if we all Judah here, like they say, I know the chart, they said in Haiti, where they had the bad earthquake, that's all the tribe of Levi. No, that's a lie. Because they didn't even let families stay together. You didn't go into slavery in an orderly fashion. You didn't go there. They don't do that. They just come snatching you, and you know it's like war. So, but the Lord said what? 28 and verse 63. We start and read it. Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass that as the Lord rejoices over you to do you good and to multiply you, so the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you.
See, somebody need to tell their name for that, because they act like the Lord only will do good for you. You know, people want to hide from the possibility of a curse. Look, if the Lord can bless you, the Lord can curse you. If the Lord get mad, he will hurt you. That's what people don't realize. And it's telling you right here in the Bible, it shall come to pass, because he's telling them all these curses he's going to put on if they disobey, which we did. It shall come to pass as the Lord rejoiced over you to do you good. Just like the Lord can rejoice over us to do us good right now if we're doing his will. But tomorrow, like we showed in the lesson, if we stop doing his will, the Lord will rejoice to hurt us. So, and to multiply you, so the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you. The Lord, whoever heard the Lord will rejoice in destroying even his own people who done went back. That's what gives you some incentive to stay on the right path. Once you know this, you know the Lord is not playing. You know you got to get your house in order and keep it in order. So the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you and bring you to what?
And bring you to nothing.
Not a whole lot of money. No means to nothing. And that's what Israel has been brought to. We brought to nothing. Go ahead.
And ye shall be plucked from off the land whither thou goest to possess it.
Now they were on the way to possess the land, hadn't got there yet. They were still in the wilderness. But before they got there, he said, you're going to be plucked from off the land. Again, you're not going on your own. Then he said, you're going to be cast out of this land into a land that you know not. Verse 64.
And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people.
See, we scattered among all people, and they don't scatter you in an orderly fashion, brothers and sisters. They don't do that. It don't work like that. It's just like somebody came up in here right now and they said, look, we taking everybody in here. Just say they reinstituted slavery. Let's say it. Work with me. They reinstituted slavery. Because we still in slavery already. So you ain't far from it. Don't think it's crazy. But they reinstituted like it was. Do you think they would care that it's some families in here? They're going to do what fits them, right? They ain't going to be like, Brother Joseph, we like you, brother. We're going to let your wife go with you. And all. Look, they don't care, do they? If they take them, it's what benefit them. If they can get more money by separating people and selling people individually. That's what they're gonna do if it's about money, right? That's right. And that's what everything be based on. That's what slavery was based on. So if they're gonna make more money, so in other words, it ain't gonna be no orderly thing. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from where?
From the one end of the earth, even unto the other.
From one end of the world to the other. Go ahead.
And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
See, so this the whole nation of Israel. We in various countries all over, serving other gods, which people have not known, even, he said, wood and stone, which the forefathers didn't know nothing about. Just like you got a tree in your house, that's wood, right? Around this time of year, people gonna be doing that. And Israel be more zealous about it than anybody. I remember a long time ago, they had a lady on TV like she had so much faith. Well, she had a choice of you know, she wanted to get a Christmas tree, but her kids needed some shoes. She had some faith and she bought that. That was dumb. You're going to put a wooden God in your house instead of getting your kids some shoes. So, but that's what he's saying. You're going to serve other gods which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. Wood and stone. Go ahead.
And among these nations shalt thou find no ease. Neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest.
Now you got one people who have less ease than anybody else. That's why they just was tearing stuff up, because they still don't have no ease. Still don't have no ease. Young brother got shot on, you know, made a big deal because his hit the news, but that's happening regular. Ain't the only one. And then the crazy thing about it, oh, you got to go back and look, this has been happening for the longest. This ain't nothing. What do you think the Black Panthers came out about? What do you think they was about? You know, they was about killing police because the police was killing Israel. They was talking about, we need to kill the pigs. Get some guns and just kill them all. That's where the term pig come from. So to show you this ain't nothing new. But every time it happened again, it seemed like it's new to people. Go ahead.
But the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart and failing of eyes and sorrow of mind.
So the Lord giving it to you, not man. You can't blame the white man. The Lord is in control. Verse 66.
And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee.
Who life hang in doubt? Who's most likely to be killed to this day? Bad stuff happen to all people. I understand that. But who most likely to be killed? Israel. There's no doubt about it. Even other people see that and recognize that. Thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt have what?
Thou shalt have fear day and night, and shalt have none assurance of thy life.
He talking about the whole people, 67.
In the morning thou shalt say, with God and with Eve. And at evening thou shalt say, with God it will morn.
You don't feel safe at no time, evening or morning. Because you can be morning, it can be broad daylight, you know, in the middle of the street, and you would get shot down. Didn't have to be at night. And some tell you something about this. Like I saw the interview that the policeman did just to show you how bad it gets. And I know it comes from the Lord. So, hey, I'm not mad at nobody. I know the Lord can handle what had to be happening. But I saw the interview that the policeman did. This dude said he took time to think. When he said the guy charging him, he said he took time to think. Can I shoot him? Can I shoot him legally? That's what he said.
Wow.
That's what he said. He said he took time to think. Can I shoot him? I meant legally. If you're really scared, you're not even worried about whether it's legal or not. But you're like, I think I can legally kill this cat in broad daylight and get away with it. That's what he done thought to himself. That's what he actually said. He said as he was charging me, watch his little interview that he did. He said, I thought, can I shoot him legally? But yeah, I think I'm gonna get away with this one. And he went on ahead and did it. But he said, the Lord already said you ain't gonna have no insurance on your life. In the morning, you would say, I wish it was evening. And even you should say, would God it were morning. You're not safe at no time for what?
For the fear of thine heart, wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes, which thou shalt see.
See, it's just bad. See, the thing's it's not as openly as bad as it used to be. I understand that. It used to be a lot worse. Because you could be walking down the street and look the wrong way, and Gentiles, boy, what you looking at? And you end up dead. Just because you look the wrong way. So I know it's not as bad as it used to be, but it's still bad. But the bottom line is this is scripture that the sister quoted. Go ahead.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
Well, we saw the Lord compare Egypt to slavery. He said in the Ten Commandments, he said the Lord, Exodus 20, the Lord brought you out of Egypt, the house of bondage. He always referred to it because that was Israel's first captivity. So he really is talking about slavery, but he's not talking about a particular tribe. He's talking about the whole nation as a whole, going into captivity. The Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. See, and you look around, it's one people that went into slavery by ships. And it's well documented. You can't hide it. They got a thing that they call slave ships, right? They had a whole bunch of them. They was terrible conditions, and people got on there, not for a pleasure cruise, they got on there to be taken somewhere as slaves. But the Lord called, he gonna bring you into Egypt, means slavery again with ships. Go ahead.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, and there shall ye be sold unto your enemies.
See, when you go on them ships, you're going to be sold to somebody else. You're going to be sold to your enemies. For who?
For bondmen and bondwomen.
So they didn't care about the women either. They sold everybody, right? For male and female. That's what a bondman is. That's a male slave. And a bondwoman is a female slave. They sold males and females. It was males and females on them ships, right? And it wasn't done orderly. It wasn't done with, we're going to put you all over your tribe. They split families up. They didn't care. He said, you're going to be sold unto your... See, this is in the Bible for a reason. This is how we can identify who we are. There you should be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen and what?
And no man shall buy you.
See, this might confuse you because he said no man shall buy you. But you already got sold. What do you mean no man shall buy you? He said you're going to be sold, right? What he means is once you get sold, nobody going to buy you back. You're going to be there. And guess what? Our forefathers got sold here and you ain't went nowhere yet. That's why I have to try to tell people. They say, I ain't no slave. I said, look, your forefathers got sold and you're still here. You know, we had people, Marcus Garvey, and people talking about, let's go, we need to go back down. We need to go back down. They never really came up with a specific destination in Africa because Africa is a big continent. So you can't just say, you can't get on a plane and say, one of them planes like this, say, take me to Africa. Okay. You want to pick a country in Africa to go to? You got to come up with a country. Then if you want to go back, you say you're going back to Africa, you got to get permission from that country to go. So nobody never crossed that. But one thing that has never happened either is since we supposedly were sold and we were from some people in Africa, why none of them haven't never came back to say, look, I want to buy them back. I want to give my people back. Nobody ain't came looking for this person. You've been off and gone. Nobody didn't say, y'all took my people. I want them back. I got so much money. I want to pay to have them back. No. So he said, well, you're going to be sold to your enemies. Notice it's your enemies too. So the enemies ain't going to treat you good. So I don't know why people expect that. Sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Nobody going to get you out of this predicament. So that's dealing with Israel as a whole. It's not dealing with like one tribe, and you cannot identify the tribes. There's no script. That Genesis 50 don't give you a breakdown of the tribes in captivity where you can identify, because you would need countless scripture to prove that, and you just can't prove it because you went into slavery and got cut off from your identity. So it can't be proven. I'm gonna tell you why they came up with that, because I knew a brother that was a part of this group in New York, these Israelites, and they came up with that. He was a part of it. They came up with it because when you start making up lies, you really don't know when you're finished. And you don't know. Yeah, you don't know when you finish, and you don't know what you messing up sometimes. So a lot of times the old saying is true: when you tell one lie, you got to do what? You got to make another. So what they did, see, these is like the same ones got the 12 tribes chart. They the same ones that say nobody could be saved but Israel. Pay attention to that. They say only Israel could be saved. This is what they teach. But see, they didn't have a forethought. They didn't want to kill nobody but the white man. See, they wasn't thinking straight. That's all they really wanted to kill. They figure, well, we ain't that mad at the Indians. They went through some stuff. I don't really hate the Indians. They didn't think that far. They said nobody could be saved but Israel, which is one lie, don't save people from all nationalities, right? That's right. But they told this lie already. Nobody can be saved but Israel. Then it dawned on them. They said, man, we ain't just killing the white man. We killing everybody. We killing the Indians. We killing the Mexicans. Mexicans ain't so bad. We killing everybody. We didn't want to do that. So what they do, they got to keep the lie. They said everybody, only Israel going to be saved, right? Oh, we add them to Israel. Oh, so they this tribe. See, the Mexicans is this tribe. The Cubans is this tribe. That's what they did. That solved their dilemma. But it's just one lie on top of another that you can't prove nowhere in the Bible. If they would have just told the truth that even though Israel been oppressed by other people, God's still going to save some people of other nations that believe. There's too many scriptures to show that. So who going to argue against the truth? But once they told that lie, then they come up and say, well, we want to save the Puerto Ricans. So they only option they figure instead of just turning around and telling the truth is to say, they part of Israel. That's how they being saved. So all these people got attitudes. Look, what kind of nation on this planet is made up of multi-nations, really? All kind of different sects. It's just like even the so-called Jews, they go with that. You know how they go with it? Because they allow and they will preach that, yeah, it's a white Jew and a black Jew. Look, no other nation is like that. So how you going to let that go for the Jews? There's no white Jew or black Jew. They either one or the other. Pick one. They got to be one of the. There's no white Irish and black Irish. it's just not that way. There's no white Ethiopian, black Ethiopian. So why is it when it comes to God's chosen people that's in the Bible, you got all this derivatives, all this mishap that you can't put your hand on? That's because the real Israel, the black people went into slavery and they just making it up as they go. After that, they just making it up. You got people saying they Jews. So when some black people come along and say, no, we the real Jews, and they don't care. The Edomites do not care. They just don't want us to say they not the Jews. I had some Edomites contact me. They said, what's wrong, brother? Don't put us down. Like, I'm not putting you down. I know who you are. Right. They said, well, you can be a part of us and we can all get along. Look, we can get along, but the thing is, you got to be a part of us. We the people. You not. But they don't really care because they politics. They don't care if we say we Israel. Just don't say they not Israel. Therefore, they say, well, there's some black ones too. Just like they took some Ethiopians, Colossians, which means stranger, because the Ethiopians, the real Ethiopians in Ethiopia in the 80s was really hard on these Israelites that was in Ethiopia. You know why? Because even though they all was black, the Ethiopians knew that they weren't real Ethiopians. They knew they was somebody else. They didn't call them Ethiopians, they called them Colossians, which means stranger. The Ethiopians knew they are not them. Just like Hamites know that we are not the same. See, Israel don't know that. I used to think it was a black thing too. I thought it was all a black thing. And then I found out I got around some Hamites. They were like, I don't know you. Like, come on, brother, what are you doing? No, we don't know you. They know it's a difference, but we didn't know it was a difference. So in Ethiopia, those Hamites were oppressing these other black people who they called Colossians, but they were Israelites. And the Edomites saw it and they took advantage of it. They said, well, we need to help these. Because these Colossians, they was practicing what they called Judaism. They was practicing that. They was doing some of those things, and they even had the 6-point style. So the Edomites took advantage of that. They said, well, look, because they don't care long, whatever boost their numbers, because, they trying to fight them Arabs off. Right. They can get some help from anybody. So they airlifted in the 80s. They airlifted. They did it secretly. Yeah, Operation named Operation Solid. They had some names for us, but it was secret airlifts. They got them Israelites out of Ethiopia and took them to the promised land. See, because they don't care. Whatever's going to help they cause, so now they got some more numbers and they say, see, so now they really got some legitimacy. They said, well, see, they Jews and we Jews. We just different colors, but we all Jews. No. We all family. Everybody can't be Jews. Anybody can be saved, so it really don't matter. But everybody can't be Jews, brothers and sisters, physically. Everybody can't be there. So they took those Ethiopians, those Colossians back to the land, and they was forcing Judaism on them, and they didn't want to go for that because even the Colossians knew better than that. So now they mistreating them over there, but still they go on with the thing. You got even this guy, I don't know if anybody paid attention to it, this basketball owner got in trouble.
Yeah.
What's it?
Sterling.
Yeah, Sterling. Yeah, he got in trouble. He said that because he's Edomite, so-called Jew. He got in trouble and for saying what he was saying, and then part of the tape, and he was talking, he was telling the girl, like, look, girl, this part of the world, this is the way the world is. Don't you know in Israel it just happened like this? Don't you know it's some black Jews? And he said it. He said some black Jews and white, you know, you got black Jews and white Jews. He said in Israel, it's just the way it is. He was making excuses for the way he was treating, you know, talking about his players. But he said that's the way of the world. In Israel, it's black Jews and white Jews, and the black and the white Jews treat the black Jews like crap. That's just the way it is. No rhyme or reason, it's just the way it is. But he's on that black Jew, white Jew. He believed that because that's what they've been teaching. But look, Israel is only one color. So if they was all white, I wouldn't have no problem with it. I wouldn't be saying they black and white. I'd say, hey, they white. It wouldn't matter to me. As long as I can get in and get salvation.
Right.
It wouldn't matter. But I know for a fact that Israel is black. And so they black, period. But there's no legitimacy to that tribe, that church, so because they can't look like all these different people. How Israel gonna be a multi-conglomerate, you know, all these different nationalities? Look, it's some Israelites in Mexico. There's some Israelites in Haiti, of course. There's some Israelites even some Israelites that are Indians, among the Indians. But the Indians as a whole can't be Israel. The Mexicans as a whole can't be Israel. No, it can't. And then breaking down by tribes. You can't prove that. One more place on this. James 1. James 1. There's no order to our scattering. James 1. James 1 and verse 1. One verse. Go ahead.
James, a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greet.
Okay, so now a lot of people heard, you know, they heard of the Galatians, they heard of the people that Paul wrote to, but it wasn't like Israel was off the map for the apostles. James wrote particularly to Israel. This is his letter is addressed to them. But where are they at? He said to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad. He can't put no identification on it. He can't say I'm writing to the Haitians and the Levites in Haiti. He can't do that. He just said to the 12. That's the best I can do for you. To the 12 tribes scattered all over, scattered abroad. That's all you got. There's no order to it. So that was a good question, though, even though it was just start conversation. somebody has something else.
We had a discussion last week, and I just want your view on it. We were talking about marriage in the land, and I kind of was left still unsure where it went. But anyway, the question was dealing with marriage, like to have multiple wives in the land. Are we subject to God's law, or are we still subject to the law of the land as far as you can't have more than one wife?
Right. Well, that's a good question. Well, first of all, when you know in the Bible that people had, you know, righteous people had more than one wife. So when you look at it, you say, well, what is it to God? That's the only thing really we want to be concerned about first and foremost. But what do God think about things? So you got people in the Bible, you know, a lot of people have heard of Solomon. You know, I don't know how Solomon did what he did, but he had talking about he took multiple wives to a whole nother level. Okay, but then a lot more people other than Solomon did it, and it was done, you know, in a more reasonable fashion. So, and we're not just talking about anybody doing it. We're talking about people who did it, who were serving God, who believed in God, and God didn't have an issue with it. So, for instance, we're just gonna grab one. We're just gonna go to Samuel, 1 Samuel, the first chapter. 1 Samuel. Now, we all know that we all heard of Samuel. He was one of the greatest prophets. We read earlier in the lesson today how he anointed the first 2 kings. We really only read 1, but he actually anointed the first 2 kings that Israel had. He anointed Saul and David. So that means he was great, but we looking at even his birth. How did his birth come? And it go to show you too that whenever it was a multiple wives situation, you know, it was some type of, a lot of times it was some type of drama. But then this drama was just a man and a wife. So what else is new with that? So, but the bottom line is, we're gonna look at how it went on. 1 Samuel 1:1. Go ahead.
Now there was a certain man of Ramoth of Zophim of Mount Ephraim, and his name was Elkanah.
Elkanah. Okay, so now Samuel, his son, that they gonna have, even though where they lived, that is one thing, but they had to be priests because Samuel, he operated, so they had to be Levites because he operated in the priesthood. So they had to be Levites. When you know how the Lord do it, you know. So they were Levites, so they were priests. And even though, because the Levites were scattered all over the land of Israel, they wasn't just in one place. So this guy, Elkanah, the son of Jeroham, the son of Elihu, go ahead.
And the son of Tohu, the son of Zoph, and Ephraimite. And he had 2 wives.
Okay, now he had 2 wives. Go ahead.
The name of one was Hannah. And the name of the other,
Peninnah, something like that. Go ahead.
And Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children.
Okay, so now the one wife had children, but the man had 2 wives, and that wasn't no big thing with God. Matter of fact, if you really understand, 2 wives had some great benefits. Multiple wives had great benefits in certain instances as far as God was concerned, because you can populate much easier if you try to have, if population is what God wants, then you populate much easier with more than one woman than you can with one. Matter of fact, shoot, because this shows you something too as far as it being. I just want to point out that we're going to get to the meat of the question. I just want to point out as far as God is looking at it, is it this great sin that people want to look at nowadays? See, we're not looking at it from God's perspective, because that's the first thing. And I know it comes from a lot of women, because most women, if you got a husband, yeah, you go ahead. But see, on the other hand, it's a whole lot of other women who don't have no husband. They might look at that a little different. See, they look at that a little different, and you know, but of course, if a woman got a husband, she ain't worried about her. She ain't thinking about her. Girl, you got to do your own thing. That ain't gonna hurt you. But we want to look at what God think about. So to show you that it can't be the worst thing in the world, the nation of Israel itself, God's holy nation in the Bible, wasn't just one man and one woman. It wasn't made of one man and one woman, right? It wasn't made of one man and 2 women, was it? It wasn't made of one man and 3 women. It was made of 1 man and 4 women. That shows you well. God ain't got no problem with it. Because the holy nation that everything is built around was built by 1 man and 4 women. Even something that God didn't allow later, even 2 of the women were sisters, blood sisters. God cut that out because look, we can put a lot on a woman, but I ain't gonna be putting that on a woman. Her own sister. But even they had to deal with that. And they got through it. They dealt with that. And God built the nation of Israel off of it. So either the nation of Israel was built out of some bad adultery, fornication system, or God don't have no problem with it, which he don't. So now this is another example. This man, he had 2 wives. Go ahead.
Verse 3. And this man went up out of the city yearly to worship and to sacrifice unto the Lord of hosts in Shiloh.
Okay, so now I just wanted to point this out because this man, he was a holy man, he was a righteous man, but he had 2 wives. But that didn't stop him from being righteous and holy. He went up and he worshiped yearly to sacrifice unto the Lord, and he went and he had his wives with him. And long story short, the one woman who had children, you know, it's always a lot of times that leave room for some animosity if people not focus on the Lord. So it was animosity going on. And so the one woman used to provoke the other woman. So let's look at that. Skip to verse 5, because the man went up, he took his whole family up there to worship the Lord every year. That was the headquarters there in Shiloh. Go ahead, verse 5.
But unto Hannah he gave a worthy portion. For he loved Hannah, but the Lord had shut up her womb.
See, Hannah, his wife, didn't have no children, but the man loved her, but he couldn't do nothing about it. So he gave her kind of sacrifice. He gave her a worthy portion. But what? Verse 6.
And her adversary also provoked her soul, for he made her fret, because the Lord had shut up her womb.
See, so the other woman who had children, you know, she just provoked the woman. She provoked her. I gave him 4 kids. You can't do nothing. So she really got on the woman's nerve. But see, the Lord had it this way because sometimes if you serving God, you got to wait on what the Lord gonna give you. Right. See, and that's what he did. He made Hannah wait, but then when he blessed Hannah with the greatest prophet Israel known. Then she had other kids. But go ahead.
Verse 7. And as he did so year by year, when she went up to the house of the Lord, so she provoked her. Therefore she wept and did not eat.
So Hannah wept and didn't even eat. She was so jacked up because, you know, the women knew the importance of having kids. But go ahead.
Then said Elkanah, her husband, to her, Hannah, why weepest thou? And why eatest thou not? And why is thy heart grieved? Am not I better to thee than 10 sons? So Hannah rose up after they had eaten in Shiloh, and after they had drunk. Now Eli the priest sat upon his seat by a post of the temple of the Lord, and she was in bitterness of soul, and prayed unto the Lord, and wept so. And she vowed a vow, and said, O Lord of hosts, if thou wilt indeed look on the affliction of thine handmaid, and remember me, and not forget thine handmaid, but will give unto thine handmaid a man child, then I will give him unto the Lord all the days of his life.
See, by Hannah not having no children, that put her in a position to really seek the Lord and be willing to even make a sacrifice because she knew the importance of it. Sometimes you had to go without something to know the importance of it. So she said, if you give me a child, I will give him back to the Lord. And see, this who came out of this child, who this book is named after, Samuel. Go ahead.
And there shall no razor come upon his head.
So she called it. The woman did, not even her husband. She said he gonna be a Nazarite. That's what, when they didn't shave their head, that's what they were known as. That means she dedicated Samuel to the Lord, and he was dedicated to the Lord for real. Matter of fact, she basically, when he got old enough, she took him, just dropped him off with the priest. Yes. Take care of him from here. But go ahead.
And it came to pass, as she continued praying before the Lord, that Eli marked her mouth. Now Hannah, she spake in her heart. Only her lips moved, but her voice was not heard. Therefore Eli thought she had been drunk. And Eli said unto her.
So he thought she was drunk. We're going to skip that. He thought she was, because she was crying out, complaining to the Lord, so she wasn't uttering no words, but she was moving her lips. This woman drunk. But then she said, no. And then Eli called it for her, because when she told Eli, no, I'm complaining. He said, okay, well, good. But whatever you want, the Lord do it. And the Lord did it. So the Lord gave her request for his son. So skip to verse 20 when he was born. Go ahead. I'm sorry, 19. We read 19.
And they rose up in the morning early and worshiped before the Lord and returned and came to their house to Ramah. And Elkanah knew Hannah, his wife, and the Lord remembered her.
See, he laid with her. That's what knew means, and the Lord remembered her. Go ahead.
Wherefore it came to pass, when the time was come, about after Hannah had conceived, and she bare a son, and called his name Samuel, saying, because I have asked him of the Lord.
See, because she asked him of the Lord, and the Lord gave him to her. He was a great prophet. And then Levi, when he saw that she brought Samuel up there, and then he said, well, the Lord give you more seed for that. Then she had a bunch of more kids. So she had some more kids. So the Lord blessed her. But the point is, out of this, you know, what people call polygamy, well, out of this polygamous relationship came the greatest prophet that Israel known. And the people would still serve the Lord. You know, that didn't stop Hannah from serving the Lord, praying to the Lord, and asking for a child, and she got. Same thing in Jacob's relationship. You know, the Lord did the same thing where the one he really cared about the most, who he wanted, Rachel, he wasn't even trying to get into no multiple wife situation. That's another thing to add here. You know, I know men kind of lean that way, but men shouldn't be trying to get into no multiple wife situation, especially now. You know why? Matter of fact, we're going to read some, turn to Exodus 21. We're going to read something about it, because that never was the goal. Oh, I'm going to give you more than one wife. That's not the goal. That's not something to strive for or aspire to. That's all it is. It's more responsibility. Jacob wasn't trying to do it. He wanted Rachel, and the man slipped Leah on him. So he had to deal with it. And she did. He slipped on her. He didn't even know till the next one. Like, I thought this was. But see, you know who orchestrated that ultimately? The man was bogus, but the Lord let it happen, because Leah probably wasn't gonna get nobody.
You know, my boss is kid, didn't she?
And you see, and really it tells you the difference. It tells you basically, it said Rachel, the one he liked, because you know men, because they always look at the outward appearance first. A woman can be crazy as you know what, but they look at the outward appearance.
Yeah, look good.
You don't even know her. So, well, that's what he wanted. He wanted Rachel. But the Lord knew that, hey, Leah wasn't going to have nobody, because the Bible said Rachel was fair to look on. Then it said Leah was tender-eyed. And it don't mean somebody said, well, she was cockeyed. It says she was tender-eyed. That means she wasn't that easy to look at. But that don't matter to the Lord. It don't matter to the Lord. And the Lord blessed her with the main children from Jacob. Matter of fact, she had half of them. Right. She had 6, plus she had a daughter for him.
Right.
So, see, the Lord will balance things out, in other words. See, so, you know, for sisters, you know, they got a husband, you know, you satisfied, you might be satisfied, but the Lord sometimes, he look at sisters that don't have no husband, and it's always been this way, where there's always a lack of good men. So the Lord will balance things out. See, that's why, even though I know women hate it, women gonna have to get used to it, because eventually the Lord is gonna put it in place, because the Lord would rather have some order with men and women than a bunch of fornicating. Because right now, you know, it's a lot of men, they can be married, a lot of men still end up fornicating with a loose woman somewhere. A lot of them in this world do that. See, so the Lord would prefer, look, and then the woman just go on to somebody else. And then she go on to some other man, and it just be a mess, a whole bunch of fornication. Well, when the Lord come back, it's gonna be more women like it is now than men. So the Lord gonna force, he says, 7 women on 1 man, and it's gonna be some order there. So it won't be no just around the horn, fornicating, you with him, now you with him. The Lord will prefer that. And then, you know, things gonna multiply quicker too, like it did with Jacob. Because ain't no way, like even if you had a woman in here, what woman in here? The Lord said, look, I want this man to give me 12 sons, like you got 12 tribes in Israel, right? Ain't too many women in here gonna be volunteer for that. Ain't too many women gonna be like, I'll do it. You're gonna be like, maybe you give me some help with that one. 12?
Mm.
See, so one didn't have 12 sons, did it? One had 6. That was the most sons that were born to any of them. And then the rest had, you know, the other 3 women had 2 apiece. But it added up to 12, and it wasn't no problem with 12. But read this though, because again, even though the Lord allowed it, this ain't nothing to aspire to. We trying to get into the kingdom. You know, like some Israelites, that's all they want to talk about, more than one wife, more than one wife. Look, I know the Lord allowed, but I also know this ain't the time for it, really. Because you can't handle one wife. Right. So what's the purpose of being worried about another one? I heard brother come to me with that, brother. I think, you know, my wife acting crazy. I should be able to get another wife. I was like, man, you can't deal with one wife. You ain't got that straight. You don't even need to think about nothing else. So this is what people don't understand. So it ain't nothing, because I say that because a lot of some of the Israelite brothers that preach more than one wife. Yeah, I know the Lord allowed in the Bible, but that don't mean you got to be running out trying to do it. And it definitely, that's not the gospel. You know, hey, like this is the gospel. Like they talk to a woman, when you married, well, you know, you can be my second wife. They both be preaching the gospel to her. That's what they leave you with. You ain't got nobody? You know, I got one wife. You can be my other. What about? And she called them about the word. You know, they on there preaching, but that's the word that they preach. But you can be my wife. You know that, don't you? No, it never was about that. That's not the gospel. It's not the gospel of more than one wife. But now, did the Lord allow it? Yeah, he allowed it. This is what the 10 Commandments was given in Exodus 20, right? So right after the 10 Commandments, we're going to flip over to Exodus 21, the next chapter. Exodus 21. And yeah, we're going to pick it up. Pick it up at 7. We'll read it to verse 7.
And if a man sell his daughter to be a maidservant, she shall not go out as the men servants do. If she please not her master, who have betrothed her to himself, then shall he let her be redeemed. To sell her to a strange nation, he shall have no power, seeing he had dealt deceitfully with her. And if he have betrothed her unto his son, he shall deal with her after the manner of daughters. If he take him another wife.
Oh, so he could do that though. In the Bible, it's saying, if he take him another wife, go ahead.
Her food, her raiment, her duty of marriage shall not be.
See, this is what you need to tell a lot of brothers that want to try to get another wife. Look, you ain't taking care of the first one. Right. You move with her from your mother's basement. So, I mean, it don't work that way. It just don't work that way. It had to be some responsibility when it was going on. So he said, if he take him another wife, her food and her raiment and her duty of marriage, shall he not diminish? So that means he had to be able to handle this. Right. He couldn't just get in. And I ain't lying. I know some Israelites, they moved in with the woman. They moved in with the first one. They moved in with the first one. Okay, if that's your situation, it's a little out of order, but that can work. That's why I tell people, you know, they come say, yeah, well, you know, the woman don't want to listen to me. I say, yeah, well, that's the kind of situation you got in. You moved in with her. You know, so you moved in with her. She kind of feel like she running. It was her house before you even got there. So what you think she gonna feel like, first of all? Okay, you moved in with her. How you gonna be looking at another one? And that's what happens. Some of these Israelites, they moved in with this woman, then that started falling apart. Then it's, I'm gonna give me another wife. And they're gonna move in with another one. All right. That ain't none of this, is it? No. That ain't none of this. It said, if he take him another wife, that means he already dealing with the first one properly. Her food, he can't stop dealing with her right. Her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish. See, so when people look at it this way, they will understand that it was more than a notion to even be talking about having more than one wife. Because it wasn't nothing, you know, it was more responsibility. Even Jacob, you know, Jacob wasn't looking for that. And Jacob get home from the field, the other woman say, she, you mine tonight. He was like, oh, like, you know, brothers be looking at that like, oh, was so good. I want that. Because what it is we used to fornicate. We used to fornicate, and people just want to keep fornicating, but that's not what this is. This was about responsibility. It was about building a nation. Yeah, and being fair and equitable. It was about building a nation because that's how they were able to populate so quick. You can populate a lot quicker with more than one than you can with one. See, and that's why I know why the Lord gonna do it again. So it can't be the worst thing. But right now, is it time for it? I say it's not time for it, even though I know it's not illegal. As far as God looked at it, I know God ain't never had a problem with it. It never was a problem. But is it time for it now? And it's not because, the laws of the land, because this way, people get around. You got the Mormons. They get around the laws of the land, and they're not breaking the laws of the land the way they do it in a lot of cases. But again, even that's out of order because you know what the Mormons call multiple wives? They call it the principle. So really, they teaching that as if thou shalt have more than one wife, and that's not it. That wasn't in the Bible. It's not in the Bible, thou shalt have more than one wife. And more people had one wife than had more than one wife. So it's not in the Bible, but they teach that is the principal doctrine, and that is everybody got to have more than one wife. And then, that's not biblical. And then they do it all out of order. The man just married the woman, married her mother. Married the woman, married her sister, which the Lord forbid. He forbid that after Jacob had Rachel and Leah. He forbid that later on. Because that's a lot, that's vexation. It's vexation, especially nowadays, the women not used to it, so it'd be vexation just for another woman, period, let alone you go get a sister. So that shows you how out of order it is. It never was said. It never was said that that's something that you aspired to and you had to do. It never was said. But did the Lord allow it? Yeah, the Lord allowed it. So even when it comes to the laws of the land, see, I know it ain't time for it, but it ain't got nothing to do with the laws of the land. Because the laws of the land, if you go by that, then I'm going to be up here marrying two men, and that ain't going to happen. But the laws of the land say I'm supposed to do that. Two men come want to get married, I'm supposed to marry. Yeah, wait on that. That ain't gonna happen. But that's the law of the land. So so that don't mean nothing. So, and the laws of the land say so, it's just like getting a marriage license. Some people harp on that. Well, y'all not married legal. You committing adultery. Because that was the same. You had the term shacking up, right? Had the term shacking up for years. And church people talk about that. Yeah, they shacking up. Look, if a man and a woman is living married, got kids, even though they're not married according to the laws of the land, they still married, but they operate according to the covenant of marriage. God, this man been with this woman 50 years, they had 5 kids, and they took care of each other, did what they were supposed to do according to marriage. God not gonna say, well, y'all did good, but y'all never did go get the certificate. Y'all going to hell. He's gonna say that. And see, and people say, well, you're not going according to the laws of the land. Well, the law, when has the police broke in on a couple and said, y'all shacking up, y'all going to jail? So in other words, you ain't breaking the laws of the land. But it's nothing wrong with getting a certificate of being married because now you got rights according to the laws of the land. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just showing you how, if you don't do that particular thing, you're not breaking nothing, the laws of the land. So if you don't have a certificate, even in a multiple wife situation, if you didn't have a certificate, ain't nobody gonna break in on you and say, what y'all, they ain't enforcing even just straight up adultery. You sleep with this man's wife, the police ain't gonna do nothing. And that's, so the laws of the land don't even figure this, if you really want to know the truth. They actually do got some laws on the books about adultery. And they got it all kind of ways. But they got laws on the books about adultery. When the last time you heard somebody been charged with adultery? You don't hear that, do you? They might use it in divorce cases to try to get some money. There was some infidelity going on and they just trying to get some money. But again, there's nothing there that you doing against the laws of the land. If somebody was doing multiple wives and they didn't do it legally. Because if you did it legally, then they call that bigamy, right? If you did illegal, if you had 2 marriage certificates. But see, the Mormons, most of them smart enough not to do that. They even got a little trick that they do. They marry a wife because they want them all to have the same name. They marry a wife. Then when they get ready to marry another, they divorce her. On paper, she's still his wife though. And then they marry another. So they ain't breaking no laws. They can't do nothing to them. But see, again, it's not about that. But I'm going to show you what the Lord said in the future, though, when he will reinstitute the wholesale, because it's going to have to be some order. It's going to be too many men and too many women running loose, and women ain't going to stay by themselves that long. And they see a good man, they don't care. That the first one they saw, and he got a wife already, woman don't care. That's why you got this stuff going on now. Isaiah 4. So though, you know, the timing of it, since Israel messed up and being captured, it's not the time to be trying to have more than one wife. I understand that. But is there something wrong in God's eyesight? I can't say that. I'll be lying. Like Brother Boy tell me this all the time. He don't say it out loud. He said, I ain't gonna preach on the gospel. We know the Lord don't change. And you see, he ain't thinking about have more than one wife. But he don't want people to be running out thinking that's our job to go do either. So he don't say nothing like that. But again, we say that all the time, the Lord don't change. So if it was ever a problem, if it's never been a problem, it can't be a problem. Not with God. So, and I say this because I know sisters don't like it, and I understand why sisters don't like it, but you don't want to look at it like that's the greatest sin on the planet. So that's what sisters look at. Oh, you know, that's terrible. That's you call it something like that God never called like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to look at it like that, you know, even though it's against everything that we are used to, and I know that's why, you know, sisters look at it that way, but it ain't, you know, it has its benefits, and he's gonna show you here, Isaiah 4. Isaiah 4 and 1. Go ahead.
And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man.
See, now this day ain't got here, so don't say I'm trying to use this for now, because I know it's not here yet, because it's the day when the Lord come back and he do all this killing, and he gonna kill, and it's gonna be a handful of men left. And even now we can see it's always more women than men. And then when you start looking at our men, Israel men, it ain't hardly no good men, right? Because they either locked up. Now around here, I hear a lot of them gay. I heard that. Brother came down here, some women pulled up on him. You know, like he was a little woman. That guy said, "Y'all single, huh?" So we understand it's hard to find a good man now, let alone when the Lord do all this killing at the end. He tells you a man is gonna be precious. He said men gonna be precious. So it's still gonna be more women at that time. And the minute the Lord to kill everybody, he gonna repopulate things again. He gonna want to repopulate things. So he said, in that day, 7 women shall do what?
Shall take hold of one man.
7 women gonna. So it ain't gonna be the men trying to just go commit fornication and, you know, sleep around with some women. Matter of fact, the man gonna be so scared, he gonna be like, I'm just gonna sit down and chill. And the women gonna be coming grabbing him. So we know this ain't here because women ain't hustling to do this.
No.
But see, why they gonna do it? Because the Lord gonna make them do it. That's gonna be the law. Look, you're not gonna be just sniping on fornicating, because the Lord would rather have some order, multiple women with this man than these other women going around fornicating with different men. Because that's what happened in this world to this day. That's what happened. They be fornicating with married men, single men. Then they get tired of them. They get in an argument. I'll skip you then. And then they go sleep with somebody else. I had one sister in the word now. She said that's the way she was in the world. She said, shoot, when the man didn't act like she wanted to act, she said, next. Yeah, but ain't no next with the Lord. See, the Lord gonna have some water. See, so he said, but notice it's the women gonna know it got to be done, and they gonna be in this shit. 7 women shall take hold of one man. What they gonna say to him?
We will eat our bread,
Our own bread.
and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach.
See, they gonna want to be under his name because the Lord gonna have it like that. You're gonna have to be under man because he ain't gonna have no mess going on at this time. He gonna be killing people. So you gonna be under man, you ain't gonna be footloose and fancy free to just sleep around. And that's what's going on now. Let's be realistic. Even in some of the churches, that's what's going on. Even people look like some of the churches I've seen that's in the truth, they swapping husbands. You know, I don't know. They swapping like y'all together, what the heck? So it's just a mess. See, so the Lord would rather have some order instead of a bunch of divorce, fornicating, and back and forth. He'd rather have some order. So they're going to grab hold to one man saying, let us be called by your name. And they say like they're doing now. Like a lot of women take care of themselves now, right? They take care of themselves. I got my own thing. But see, right now they on their own. They kind of do what they want to do. They with one man for this month or this year. Then they with somebody else. But see, the Lord ain't going to allow that. He said, look, we wear our own prayer, we eat our own bread, only let us be called by thy name to take away thy reproach. This is when the Lord come back. Go ahead, verse 2.
In that day shall the branch of the Lord be beautiful.
So that's going to be a beautiful time because the Lord is going to bring peace to the earth. So if it was so terrible, then why would the Lord be doing it again? Because it do bring some order to a disorderly situation. It do bring some order. It is some rhyme or reason. It got everything that the Lord do got to be good for something. So if the Lord didn't allow this throughout the whole Bible, we got to think to ourselves, well, it had to be good for something. The Lord didn't never have a problem with it. The Lord never called his sin. The Lord never said, matter of fact, he got law. We just read a law in Exodus. We're going to read one more law. Go to Deuteronomy. We're going to read, he got laws on how to behave in this situation. So that means it can't be sin. Now it's sin if you're not behaving the way you're supposed to behave in that situation. So it can't be sin. And again, we're just pointing this out. Again, we know right now Israel in a bad predicament. Israel can't handle a wife. So ain't no need for everybody to say, oh yeah, we need to have more than one wife. That's what brothers is doing. They're just caught up on fornication. They ain't caught up on serving the Lord. So kind of like the prophet told this guy, Gehazi, the prophet Elisha told him, he said, is it time for us to be concerned with fields? Because you know the prophet healed this warrior, this general of his leprosy, right? And the man tried to pay the prophet off. I mean, not pay him off. He tried to give him some show his gratitude. Man, let me give you some. The prophet like, I don't want nothing. He said, well, let me give you, I want to give you. He wanted to give him something. He had all kinds of stuff. He said, man, I'm going to give you this. Prophet like, look, I won't take nothing. I didn't come here. Just like when we preach, we don't come here to get no money. We come to give somebody something. That's why we don't pass no plate. We ain't talking about. Matter of fact, I leave here something. I've been and forgot the money. Other places. Forgot that people made donations. But I said, hey, you got the fact because we ain't thinking about that. We come to preach the word. So that's the way the prophet was. He healed the man, and the man wanted to give him. So he said, look, I ain't taking nothing. I serve the Lord. I ain't worried about nothing. He said, let me give you something. He said, nope, I don't want nothing. Then his understudy, Gehazi, after he left, he was like, man, he was mad at the prophet because the prophet didn't take none of the money. None of the stuff. I'm going to get some of that stuff. So he ran behind the man like the prophet ain't gonna know. And he made up an elaborate lie. Well, you know, something happened. My master's second dog. He'd take a little something, you know. Some people came, he wanted to work with them. He just made up a lie. He didn't even have to do that. He lied. This is in 2 Kings 5. He lied. The man wanted to get something. He just got healed of a great disease, leprosy. He said, man, take two. Oh, man, I'm glad to give it. He gave it. They gave it to Gehazi and carried it back for him. He put in, and he go stand before the prophet like he chilling. Like, and the prophet said, where you been, Gehazi? Oh, I'm just chilling. I ain't went nowhere. He's like, man, I know you went got some of that stuff. Now you got his leprosy. But before he told that, he said, man, is it time for this? Is what we concerned about? We concerned with trying to get some money. The world dying of starvation for the word. So we worried about money. We worried about trying to have some fields. Are we supposed to be worried about that? And the same thing. Are we worried about more than one wife? That's what we about? That's not what it's about. But now, did it go on? Is it can I dispute it in the scripture? No, I wouldn't try to dispute it in the scripture. So now, what I say, Deuteronomy 23? Deuteronomy 22, I think it is. Deuteronomy 22. we run more after this. Yeah, Deuteronomy it might be 21. Yeah, it's 21. 21, go ahead. Deuteronomy 21. And verse 15. Deuteronomy 21. So again, things you want to look at, we want to try to look at things the way God looks at it. So from a biblical standpoint, that ain't no problem and that's what it was. It never was, because some sisters said, well, that means I can have more than one husband. No, it never was so from the beginning. That never happened. Matter of fact, the crazy thing, and then the woman might, because see, they didn't mess things up by kind of making it kind of equal. Right. Look, the Lord got order there. So it never was so that a woman was allowed to have more than one husband. That wasn't a part of the deal. No. That didn't happen. Matter of fact, if the man thought his wife had did something, she didn't have to do nothing. He could go test her. And you read Numbers 5 on that. He could go take her to the priest and like, come on, Max, you know she ain't want to go. But he could take her and run a test just to ease his conscience. So it could have been that she had more than one wife. I say that because the world is crazy. They might introduce a law. If they introduce a law where they allow multiple wives, I bet you they're going to have them as husbands too. Because they crazy. That's how crazy it is. They go, well, we might well be fair. No, you're crazy. And they had it somewhere in Africa somewhere. It was some moment. Mm-hmm. She's sitting back there like Big Papa. She got 2 men.
Yeah, see.
You seen that in the news? Yeah. But it wasn't so. Because the Lord got order. 21 and 15.
If a man have 2 wives, and one beloved, and another hated, and they have borne him children, both the beloved and the hated, and if the firstborn son be hers was hated, then it shall be.
Okay, so now notice here. Now, if this was something wrong, God wouldn't be giving instructions on how to deal with the situation. So he said, if a man have 2 wives, one beloved and one hated. I understand when he said one beloved and other hated. It ain't like he got a wife that he sitting around talking about he hate her. You know, he not talking, I hate her. But the difference is he do care about one more than the other. That's usually the case. That's how it was with Jacob, right? And see, the Lord always is in the business of looking out for the one that needs looking out for. So when Leah would have been the hated one, because Jacob didn't care to be with her. He was like, yeah, so I'm sure he treated her okay, but he preferred Rachel, right? And see, the Lord saw that. That's why he kept blessing Leah with children. See, so he gave her some reward because she was in need of it, because the Lord know how to balance the debt. The Lord balanced that so much so Rachel was mad at Jacob. Give me some children, I'm gonna die. And Rachel was like, girl, what the heck? You think I can control that? But God did that for a reason, because God is in the business of making things kind of balanced. Because Jacob wanted Rachel so bad, he wanted Rachel, he cared more about Rachel. You know, the Lord said, well, I'm gonna put a little love on Leah. She having all these kids, and now Rachel sitting over there mad at her. So much so, then she turned around and gave her maid. Here, take her and have some kids with me. I can't have none. You're gonna have some kids by her. That's how they see the Lord used stuff like that. He built the nation, but it was built out of some crazy, you know, the woman was tripping on her sister. That's how the nation got built. That's how the first maid got in there. Yeah, take her, sleep with her. I mean, yeah, I gotta get you some kids some kind of way. Then he had 2 kids by her maid, and then Leah wouldn't have no kids. He'd take my maid. He got 2 more. Before you know it, he got 12 sons. And even finally the Lord let Rachel have some. So what he mean here, if a man have 2 wives, one beloved and the other hated, that means he like one more than the other, which is usually gonna be the case. One beloved and another hated, and they have both of them born him children, both the beloved and the hated, and if the firstborn be the sons of the one that was hated. In other words, it's order here. We don't care if you like this woman more and you would prefer to put her kids in a better position. Look, it's order here. Just because you like her more, you got to be fair. If her son, the one you don't like as much, because he didn't hate her, he having kids, but I hope he didn't hate her. If her son was the firstborn, her son is the firstborn. You can't change the order. That's what he's going to tell you, 16.
Then it shall be, when he maketh his son to inherit that which he hath, that he may not make the son of the beloved firstborn before the son of the hated, which is indeed the firstborn.
See, he couldn't switch it up. Right. What I'm saying is you got laws about it. God giving you laws in the Holy Bible on how to handle this, so it can't be the worst thing that ever happened. Go ahead.
But he shall acknowledge the son of the hated for the firstborn, by giving him a double portion of all that he had. And he is the beginning of his strength. The right of the firstborn is his. See, the right of the firstborn is his, and it can't change, even if he liked the other one's mother better. It can't change. But the good thing for the sisters, 9 out of 10 sisters here don't have to worry about it right now. So that's what you can take some souls in. Even though in the Bible, it wasn't that wrong. Just think about it, in the Bible, these were righteous women, holy women that had to deal with this situation. They had to deal with it, and they dealt with it, just like Hannah dealt with it. She dealt with it, and the woman was crazy, because it shouldn't be. If everybody serving God, it could be, and got their mind on God, it could be better in these situations. But she had a woman that was antagonizing her because she couldn't have no children. You see, that's how the flesh would get involved. But now we're going to read something else since we hit 17. We around the 17. Some of you show you how in times, the Lord will allow what he allowed for his own purposes. Deuteronomy 17. And we're going to pick it up at 14. We're going to show you in time, the Lord will allow certain things because he got a bigger plan. 17 and 1. Go ahead. 14, I'm sorry. 17 and 14. When thou art come into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, and shall possess it, and shall dwell therein, and shall say, I will set a king over me, like as all the nations that are about me.
See, the Lord knew what Israel was going to do before they went to the land. This is how they got solved. Because they started looking around, well, we want to be like everybody. That's Israel's biggest problem. That's why we're in the mess we're in now, because we want to be like everybody else. When they did that, he said, when you do that in the land and want to get you a king, what, 15?
Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose.
See, it had to be somebody the Lord choose. Go ahead.
One from among thy brethren.
And it had to be somebody from among Israel when they set a king. In other words, they had strangers among them that served the God of Israel, but they couldn't say, well, we're going to put the stranger, make him king. They couldn't do that, even though he was there and serving the God of Israel. It had to be somebody from Israel, from one of the 12 tribes. Saul was from the tribe of Benjamin, the same tribe the Apostle Paul was from. That's probably why he's named Saul, because he was named after the first king of Israel. He was from the same tribe. But go ahead.
Shalt thou set king over thee?
He said, thou shalt set king over thee, who he tell you, and it got to be from your brother shalt thou set king over thee. Thou what?
Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother.
See, so it was strangers among them, but they couldn't make one of them a king. Go ahead.
But he shall not multiply horses to himself, nor cause the people to return to Egypt, to the end that he should multiply horses. For as much as the Lord hath said unto you, ye shall henceforth return no more that way.
Go ahead.
Neither shall he multiply wives to himself.
Okay, so now the king had some restriction on him. The king had a restriction on him. And what was it? He said the king, the one that become king, he want to keep things in order. He don't multiply horses himself. In other words, he don't be hung up on money. He's not going to be hung up on money, and he's not going to be hung up on trying to have a bunch of women either. Why he not going to be hung up on trying to have a bunch of wives? Because he got responsibility. See, so he said, neither shalt thou he multiply wives to himself. That what?
That his heart turn not away. Neither shall he greatly multiply to himself silver and gold.
See, so now the Lord said that about the king. Like when you have a king, this type of king he need to be. He shouldn't be caught up on the wrong thing. Because if he caught up on the wrong thing, he's going to depart from it. So, but even then, now the Lord said that, but that don't mean the Lord can allow this when he feel like it, right? And the reason why I'm saying it, because he straight up allowed Solomon and David to do it. They did just that, and the Lord allowed. Show you how he allowed to go to 1 Samuel. We're gonna wrap it up after this. We might read one more. Show you how that happened.
1 Samuel.
1 Samuel, let me see. I think it's 1 Samuel 10. It might be 2nd. No, 2 Samuel. Yeah, 1 Samuel. 2 Samuel, the 2 Samuel, the 12th chapter. See, now, all the time, David was king. The Bible said David was a man after God's own heart. He was king, though, so he shouldn't have been concerned with multiplying wives to himself. But that don't mean the Lord wouldn't allow him to have, more than one wife. And this was going to happen. See, David didn't get in no trouble with God for having more than one wife. David, when he did get in trouble with God, he got in trouble for taking another man's wife. Yeah. That's what he did. He committed adultery. Right. See, and that's what, and being murdered. Exactly. He committed a twofer. He committed adultery and turned around and killed a man because he got jammed up and he felt he couldn't get out of it. That goes to saying again when you start telling a lie. So he tried to make it like the man got his wife pregnant. The man wouldn't go for that, so he ended up having a kid. But 2 Samuel 12 and verse 7, because the prophet came to David. The Lord sent the prophet to tell him. And go ahead. He told him a little story, then he told David he was the one. He was the one I'm talking about. Go ahead.
And Nathan said to David, thou art the man.
Because he gave him a nice little analogy about somebody that just did his neighbor wrong, just bogus. And David said, that man needs to die. He said, you the man. You that man. You the man. 2 Samuel 12 and 7. 2 Samuel 12 and 7. So we skipped the story just to save time. But it was a nice little analogy about a man took another man's poor little sheep, and he had a bunch of sheep already. He just took this poor man one sheep. That's all he had. So David got upset. That man needs to die. Pay that back fourfold. And Nathan said to David, thou art the man. And I'm going to tell you what. Go ahead.
Thus saith the Lord God of Israel. I anointed thee king over Israel, and I delivered thee out of the hand of Saul. And I gave thee thy master's house.
Now, who's talking here? It said the Lord talking. Thus said the Lord God of Israel, I anointed thee king over Israel. See, David became king after Saul messed up. The Lord had Samuel anoint him. He said, I anointed thee king over Israel, and I delivered thee out of the hand of Saul, because Saul was trying to kill him. Verse 8.
And I gave thee thy master's house, and thy master's wives, into thy bosom.
Wait a minute. Now the Lord told David, I gave you not only your master's house, I gave you your master's wives. So again, that's wives plural, right? So how in the world am I going to go around and tell somebody that somebody having more than one wife, that's the greatest sin? Oh, they bogus. And the Lord turned around showing me in the Bible that he said he gave a man more than one wife, plural. He didn't stop at one because David had more than one. David had a lot of children. He said, I gave thee your master's house and your master's wife. And David was king. That shows you it's a time for everything, because he said the king shouldn't be focused on that. But that don't mean the Lord can't allow it to happen. Just like he gave Solomon. The Lord gave Solomon, wasn't asked for no riches. Solomon asked for wisdom. The Lord said, I'm going to give you riches. And he gave more riches than any king had. Yeah, but he had a lot of property. And the women end up messing him up. Really, the women from a strange nation that he shouldn't have married. Because he married so many of them. And it wasn't that they just was in it to serve the God of Israel. They was in it because he was king and he was rich. So it's a different thing if you marry a woman from another nation who is into serving the God of Israel. That's one thing. But hey, who's not going to be into you when you the king and you got all kinds of money? You can build me a house like that. like Solomon was. He was just marrying king's daughters, like he married Pharaoh's daughter. She didn't care nothing about the God of Israel.
Right.
She was a king's daughter. So that's where he messed up at, because then he trying to please them later on in life. He started building false place of worship for his wives from these other nations, though. See, if he'd have stuck with Israel, he might have been okay, because they wouldn't have had that problem from these women of these other nations that was into their own nation's gods. That was his problem. But the Lord said here, read it again in verse 8.
And I gave thee thy master's house and thy master's wives into thy bosom, and gave thee the house of Israel and of the Judah. And if that would have been too little, I would have moreover given unto thee such and such
He
things.
said, if that wasn't enough, I would have gave you a lot more. I could have gave you some more things if that wasn't enough. But what you did is what's wrong. What did he do, verse 9?
Wherefore hast thou despised the commandment of the Lord to do evil in his sight? Thou hast killed Uriah the Hittite with the sword, and hast taken his wife to be thy wife.
Now that's where he crossed the line at. He took this man's wife. He committed adultery. And pay attention too, David wasn't trying to do it. He didn't go out there trying to commit adultery. That shows you, like we was dealing with in the lesson today, that you got to be real careful, that you got to know you in a war, because he wasn't trying to go out and commit adultery. He just walking around on the roof and seen a woman naked and ended up doing it. So look, he said, you despise my commandment. You killed this man and took his wife to be your wife and slain him with the sword of the children of Ammon. So I'm going to do something to you, which he did, verse 10.
Now therefore, the sword shall never depart from thine house.
See, David had all kind of trouble. He had Absalom, his own son, tried to kill him and take over. He had another son raped a daughter because they had different mothers. Amnon raped Tamar, and then that was since Tamar and Absalom had the same mother. You know, Absalom was crazy already. You didn't need to push his button. He turned around, killed Amnon. David thought all his sons, so David taught him. Then, worse than that, when Absalom tried to take over, he did what the Lord said was going to happen in verse 11. But we're finished, start at 10 again.
Now therefore, the sword shall never depart from thine house, because thou hast despised me, and hast taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be thy wife. Thus saith the Lord, behold, I will raise up evil against thee out of thy own house.
He said, I will raise up evil against you out of your own house. And what's going to happen?
And I will take thy wives,
wives, plural. And in this case, it turned out to be 10. Because he left 10 women to keep the house when he ran from Absalom. And then the exact 10 that Absalom went and slept with. And he got counsel to do that because it let everybody know him and his father was really at odds. But it really was fulfilling what the Lord said. The Lord was getting David back for one thing. He said, you did it secret, David. I'm going to have it being done in open. But notice, it had something to do with the Lord is acknowledging the wives that he said he gave David, right? He said, thus said the Lord, behold, I will raise up evil against thee out of your own house, and I will take thy wives, plural, right? Go ahead.
Before thine eyes,
before your eyes,
and give them unto thy neighbor.
And what he gonna do?
And he shall lie with thy wives in the sight of his son.
And that's what he did. He took them on the roof. He got counsel from a sharp brother. The brother was sharp as far as trying to make warfare, but that wasn't godly. See, it's different things. He says in the word, they get so caught up on making political moves and making moves, they forget that your first thing is to be serving the Lord. You know, the Lord teach us to be wise. You know, I ain't gonna walk around and just be stupid, you know, and let anything go. But the Lord, the first and foremost, you serving the Lord. Now you make moves within that parameter, you're gonna be okay. But they got all the way out the parameter trying to be slick and trying to overthrow David. The Lord wasn't overthrowing David. The Lord was just punishing David. See, they had the wrong intention, but it fulfilled what the Lord said because he slept with his wife. But all this is showing you, obviously, the Lord didn't have no problem with this. Even though he said the king shouldn't be caught up and multiply wives to himself. Same thing with this, and this will be the last one. All the way to New Testament now, because we can read New Testament too on this. 2 Timothy. Because sometimes, you know, people get caught up, yeah.
What about 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 1 and 2?
Okay, we'll look at it. Let's look at it. Let's look at it. Let's look at it now. You talking when it said have their own wife and their own husband? Yeah, and that don't change. Now let's look at it. That's just kind of general, but what he's talking about is go ahead and get married. But he, he ain't even got to get into the more. We'll look at that first. 7. Yeah. 1 Corinthians 7. Yeah, people have brought that up. See, it's not even a question of more than one wife. Yeah, that's not the topic that he's dealing with. He's just dealing with, if you can be by yourself, be by yourself. And if you can't be by yourself, go ahead and get you a husband or get you a wife. Ain't no need of mentioning 2 or 3 because, wife couldn't do that anyway. And the husband, if he ain't got one, then hey, he needs to just get married. That's what he said. 7 and 1, though. Go ahead.
Now concerning the things whereof he wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman.
Okay, so first of all, if you in this predicament, if you in this case where you're not married and you can deal with that, that's good. Why is it? Because you can just straight focus on the Lord. And this is good you brought this up because that brings us back to what we was talking about. Why did the Lord tell the king not to multiply? Why? Obviously, it wasn't that more than one wife was a problem, right? But why? Because the king got a lot of responsibility, and he don't need to be sidetracked with no whole lot of issues that he got to deal with at home and let his heart be taken away from serving the Lord. So that's why the Lord said, the king, don't be worried about trying to be rich and take all the people's money, and don't be worried about multiplying wives to himself. But the Lord turned around and said he gave David wives. So, but to be, as we say, a unit or by yourself, that's good for the purposes of serving God. So better than all of this, hey, if a woman can be by herself, she by herself, she can be by herself. She ain't got to worry about nobody but the Lord. She ain't got to worry about trying to please the husband. She ain't got to worry about nobody but the Lord. She can focus solely on the Lord. If she's handling business from the Lord, she can focus solely on that. Same thing with a man. The priest being celibate from, because now they can be dedicated to one thing. He never gave that. That's why that's a bad law, tradition that they came up with. So now concerning things where you wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Okay, verse 2.
Nevertheless,
to
avoid fornication.
Go ahead.
Let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband.
Right. Just say, okay, just have one for a man. He's not even dealing with that. That's not even in the equation. But what he's saying is you can be by yourself, be by yourself. But now you're sitting over there being frisky and can't handle it. So you don't just be out there doing, get married. Man or woman. Over there, you by yourself, you say, yeah, I'm gonna be dedicated to, and then you flip through some porn books. Look, maybe you need to get married. The reason why he used every man have his own wife and let every woman have her own, because in this case, for them to be fornicating around with people. That's what he said. Never let fornicate. That's what he's talking about. Then he go further, but skip down just to show you that this is what this was about. Verse 29 first. Verse 29.
For this I say, brethren, the time is short. It remaineth that both they and those they had none.
See, now you can be by yourself. That's good. If you can handle that, if not, go ahead and get married. But it's so, time is short. The gospel got to be preached regardless. So it's going to be some people, especially some brothers that have wives. Time is short, brethren. It remains that both they that have wives be as though they had none. See, I be without a wife a lot of times. I be traveling all over the place. I ain't got no wife right now here. Because the Lord's business got to be taken care of. See, I've been with my wife 30-some years, 33 years, and I've been doing this a long time, so she understands. Be gone a lot of time. So You know, but then, you know, people say, well, you know, you be away from your family. Hey, people that go to the army to be away from their family, right? So we in the army for the Lord. So it has to be done. So this is what he's talking about. It remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none. That means when the Lord's business got to be taken care of, you got to do what you got to do, right? But now to show you what he's talking about as far as if you're able to be by yourself, verse 32. Go ahead.
But I would have you without carefulness. He that is unmarried careth for the things that belong to the Lord, how he may please the Lord.
See, if you're unmarried, you ain't got nothing to focus on but the Lord. You ain't got to worry about, because, you know, I women come to me sometimes complain about their husband. I'm like, look, you married. You know, that's your husband. But if they not married, they ain't got to care about that. They can put solely on the Lord. Same thing for a man. So he that is unmarried care for the things that belong to the Lord, how he may please the Lord, verse 33.
But he that is married cares for the things that are of the world, how he may please his wife.
Right. So you got to do that. Go ahead.
There's a difference also between a wife and a virgin. The unmarried woman.
So what he really saying, there's a difference between a woman that's married or a woman that's by herself operating in virginity, not being married. He said there's a difference between them. Why? Because the one that's like operating in virginity or unmarried, the unmarried woman, what she care about?
The unmarried woman cares for the things of the Lord.
That's all she got to worry about. Go ahead.
That she may be holy both in body and in spirit.
See, that's all she got to be concerned with. Go ahead.
But she that is married cares for the things of the world, how she may please her husband.
So she ain't always able to focus on the Lord, right? Because she got other responsibility. So that's the benefit of not being married. But if you can't handle it, he said to avoid fornication, wife will get you a husband, right? But now we're gonna end it on this note. 2 Timothy, is it 1 Timothy 3? Because Paul kind of used the same thing that the Lord said to the king with the bishop, you know, and it comes to responsibility. And I'm pointing this out because one thing is letting you know that even what Paul is saying in the New Testament, he knew it wasn't no sin for somebody to have more than one wife. He knew it, else he wouldn't have to say this. 1 Timothy 3. 1 Timothy 3. And pick it up at verse 1. Go ahead.
This is a true saying. If a man desire the office of a bishop, desire for good work.
Okay, so now this is somebody, first of all, in Paul's estimation, who is not a bishop. They're not a bishop. They may be a candidate for a bishop, right? They desire the office of a bishop. So what he's saying is, if you in this position, if you want to do this work for the Lord, bishop is somebody that's an overseer in the church. This is a true saying, if a man desire the office of a bishop, he desires the good work. And what he gonna give you kind of like some guidelines or some candidates for this job. Go ahead, verse 2.
A bishop then must be blameless.
Okay, so first of all, we looking for a bishop. Okay, so we want to look for somebody that's blameless. Well, ain't nobody, that don't mean without sin, right? That don't mean they ain't never did nothing wrong. But they can't just be running around doing all kinds of stuff right now when they're trying to be a bishop either, right? A bishop then must be blameless. Go ahead.
The husband of one wife.
Oh, the husband of one wife. But wait a minute. Why even say that if that's the norm, right? You know what I'm saying? If that's all it should be. Ain't no need to even say that. Well, you know, hey, yeah, of course. Because God don't like that. See, this is what I'm saying. We got to get out of what we think. It wouldn't even be no need to mention that if it was just the biggest sin since Adam and Eve ate the apple, which we know it wasn't apple. If it was a big sin, wouldn't be no need to even mention that. But because it was still going on, he giving you some criteria for them picking a bishop. And it's the same criteria when the Lord said, don't let the king multiply wives to himself. It's the same criteria. Okay, a bishop then must be blameless, the husband of one wife. Go ahead.
Vigilant.
Vigilant
sober,
Uh-huh.
and of good behavior,
Uh-huh.
given to hospitality, apt to teach.
Giving the hospitality and have to teach. See, this don't even mean that like David, he was king of Israel, and the Lord said, I gave him wives, even though that should have been his job, trying to multiply wives. But the Lord did say, I gave him wives. So that don't mean this couldn't happen. But the point of the matter is, why is he saying this? When you understand, he's saying it because, look, the bishop gonna have his hands full. He gonna have his hands full. Obviously, it can't be that bad if he's saying just for the bishop to be concerned with it, because it's about responsibility. So that lets you know overall, he wasn't turning around saying, well, that boy, my wife took that scene. Now I know, like I said, a lot of these Israelites out here, they misusing it. A lot of that is number fornicating, brothers and sisters. They going from woman to woman. They ain't even staying with women who they call their wives. They fornicate, going to another woman. Yeah, I got another wife. And they fornicate. So that's out of order. And we know, being in the situation we in, this is not the convenient time to be having more than one wife when we having a hard time, dealing with one relationship, one spouse. So it's not a convenient time. So hopefully that answer, we're gonna read the one though that it kind of comes from, Romans 13, because again, that really don't come into play. People use that for a long time, but that don't come into play because anytime something gonna go against something that God has, then you're gonna take what God's law is. Like Daniel, they made a law up for Daniel and told him, don't pray or prophesy, don't pray to nobody for 30 days. Told everybody don't do it. They made a law up, but Daniel didn't follow that law. But now 13:1, Romans 13:1.
Let every soul be subject unto the higher power.
Okay, so that's good. Go ahead.
For there is no power but of God.
Uh-huh.
The powers that be are ordained of God.
So really what this is telling you about, brothers and sisters, it's talking about people that's trying to, like I know Israelites back in the day, they was anti, some of them today, they was anti-government. I know some brothers back in the day in the 80s, they found they was Israel, they was anti-everything, took their kids out of school. I ain't letting them go to them schools. Then later on, the kid was messed up because they ain't let them stay in school. Look, he's telling you, look, you living in a place, you subject to the rules of that place. Don't try to overthrow and be, contrary to the rules. He said, because all the powers that's in control, they are ordained by God. Verse 2.
Whosoever therefore resisteth the power, resisteth the ordinance of God. And they that resist it shall receive to themselves damnation.
Okay, so this is where it say, see, we understand, yeah, you subject to the laws of the land that you live in. You subject to that. But see, again, the laws of the land ain't gonna say nothing to somebody. Matter of fact, the laws of the land, they own a lot of people. Like I'm one of them. I had my oldest son is not with my wife. We met shortly after him. So I've been with my wife 30-something years. My son is 30-something years old by another woman I knew in high school. Okay, the laws of the land don't still say, they don't care when you married to somebody else. The laws of the land say, look, that's your child. You need to take care of that child. So you still got some responsibility as far as that goes to that child and therefore to that woman, right? Because I know conflicts with, sometimes with sisters, but sometimes with brothers. Brothers got a wife now, but they had maybe a wife or a baby mama in some cases and a child, and you still got to deal with that. See, that's just part of the same old consequence. It got to be dealt with though, because like my wife understood, she knew that was my son. Like, that's my son. So she was able now, hey, my son grew up calling her mother, and that worked out. But every transition is not that smooth. So that just show you how, but the government is gonna say you got some accountability to that relationship. And I know the wives want the accountability, just be with the child. Don't talk to the woman. But that's kind of hard. There's gonna be some conversation going on. It's just like I had to have some conversation with my son's mother. So that shows you what the laws of the land say. The laws ain't gonna tell you this cut all ties and forget about that. And all the laws of the land allow that. And the laws of the land, they ain't put nobody in jail for committing adultery. So they ain't put nobody in jail if they taking care of 2 women. Matter of fact, they
or not, a terror to good works.
See, if you're trying to serve the Lord, you ain't worried about the laws of the land. You're not trying to do that, and they not no big deal. But go ahead.
But to the evil, wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? But it is good, and thou shalt have praise of the saints.
See, if you do that which is good, you're gonna have praise. Don't be trying to like some Israelites out. They anti everything. They out in the corner cursing people out. Look, you're not gaining about doing that. Matter of fact, you're just trying to set yourself up. You're not gaining nothing because them the people got the power. And the Lord gave them the power. So how you gonna be out cursing the power out? You're gonna be out somewhere cursing and can't do nothing. Anytime they want to get you, they can get you because they got the power. See, the people in the Bible, the prophets in the Bible, they had more sense than that. They understood what Paul's saying here. So when Daniel, he was a servant of God, he didn't curse Nebuchadnezzar out. Matter of fact, he said, "O king, live forever." He knew his position. But then again, if they got a law that's going to contradict God's law, then hey, he wasn't going with that. So if a man nowadays had more than one wife and he got responsibility to both of them, hey, the law can't change that. If it was that way, the law can't change that. And he's not breaking no laws if he didn't, do what they call it bigamy, right? By marrying more than one woman on, with licenses. He's not breaking no law. And ain't nobody gonna go even look, because people fornicating all over the place. Everybody kicking the door in. Y'all in here sleeping together. What's wrong? What's going on, y'all? Y'all going to jail? Ain't nobody gonna do that at all. So you gotta look at what he's dealing with as opposed to what people try to make out of. So go ahead, verse 4.
For he is the minister of God to thee for good.
So he's talking about somebody that's just rebelling. Like you can't just be rebelling against the system. You can't do that. Just like the Black Panthers, that wasn't gonna go nowhere. They told me, look, we gonna shoot the police. Yeah, okay, we're gonna see how far that goes.
Right.
That ain't gonna work. They're gonna bring more police like they did in Ferguson, right? They let them go the first night. Yeah, we're gonna let them give them a little leeway. Next night, we're gonna see how far that goes. We're gonna triple the numbers. But he is the minister of God to thee for good.
But if thou do that which is evil,
if you do which is evil, what?
Be afraid.
You should be afraid. Why?
For he beareth not the sword in vain.
In other words, police don't have guns for nothing. We should know that. He beareth not the sword in vain. So you can't just be anti-police, anti-government. Go ahead.
For he is the minister of God, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. Wherefore you must needs be subject, not only for wrath, but also for conscience.
He says that you need to be subject to the authorities. Not trying to overthrow the authority. You need to be subject to them. And not just because you're worried about some wrath. Even though you should be afraid and worried about some wrath, because they got guns for a reason. And they take practice shooting them, unlike some of these gangbangers I see. They can't shoot straight at all. They need to go get some practice.
Right.
At least the police do take practice. They ain't shooting the wrong people all the time. So, but not just for wrath's sake, he said for conscience sake, you need to be subject. Because if you're a servant of God, what they saying ain't nothing. Me following some man-made rules ain't nothing when I'm concerned with God's rules. That ain't nothing. Verse 6.
For this cause pay ye tribute also.
Pay ye tribute also. You got a lot of brothers talking about, you some Israelites I know, start talking, really, paying taxes ain't in the Constitution. So you really ain't got to. I heard that, but I see people get locked up behind it too.
Right.
So I ain't listening to it. They come with a good line. They ain't even in the Constitution. Really, you ain't got to pay tax. I ain't seen nobody get away with that.
No.
You see him get away with it? For permanently?
No, he wasn't Hebrew. Gentile.
Oh, yeah. Gentile might get away.
Yeah, Sheriff Parrish,
She got locked in.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, the Gentile get away with it. Yeah, that's what he got locked up. But now, and the bottom line is, it's nothing wrong with it. Even Jesus paid some taxes. You know, he paid some taxes. So he showed you, hey, you subject to the authority. Like they tried to catch him in that because you had some hardcore Israelites back then. So they tried to catch him in the trick bag. Well, what you say about paying tribute to Caesar? Like, okay, you got him in the trick bag. These hardcore Israelites not gonna like him. But if he say don't trip, anti-established. You anti-established. You're gonna be caught in that. Jesus said, give me a coin, give me a penny. They gave it to you. He said, who's the scripture? They say Caesar. But get a Caesar that would belong to Caesar. God. Render to God. Well, go ahead. Verse 6 again.
Cause pay ye
Hey, you tribute. Go ahead.
attending continually upon this very thing.
Go ahead.
Render therefore to all their due.
Render to them all their dues. Nothing wrong with that. You're not taking away nothing from God when you do that. If it don't have nothing to do with worshiping another God or breaking God's law, it's no problem. Go ahead.
Tribute to whom tribute is due. Custom to whom custom.
See, just like people say, well, you know, you got to be due. But you got to look at it even what the consequences going to be. See, we say that, but that don't mean I might not end up going. I drove down here. I ain't going to say I can speed at all. You know, I ain't going to lie and say, I didn't go the speed limit. Because, you know, say that, not the type of thing he's talking about. He's talking about you just trying to like say, like, you know, when the police stop me, well, skip you, police. I'm gonna speed some more. You know, I'm just anti. Nah, and if I get stopped by the police, I'm gonna say, you know, hey, officer, will you give me a break? I'm trying to get somewhere in a hurry. Whatever. I'm not gonna be anti the establishment, period. And I would have to pay. I would have to pay on that. So he's not dealing with stuff like that. He's dealing with somebody to get off. So he said, rent dues, tribute to whom tribute is due. Go ahead.
Custom to whom custom, fear to whom fear, honor to whom honor.
It's not taking away, you know, nothing from God, but then that don't have nothing to do with something that God has ordained and has allowed. When it comes to that, as long as you're not, if you're doing it in a way that man is not going to deal with you on, you don't have to worry about that. You know? Just like, again, two people shacking up. Church just said that was a sin for the longest. That ain't no sin. Two people, if they dedicated, if they married to each other spiritually, I'd say, you know, like we got people like that. We got people because we tell people that they got to have some accountability. So if I know, for instance, a brother in here, I might know they're not married on paper, but I know they're together. I know they dedicate to each other. I'm going to say, that's your wife. You know, that's what I found out when I got in the word. I'm going to say, that's your wife. And the brother all of a sudden get rid of her and come with another. I'm like, brother, what you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Where is you? Even though they weren't married on paper. Because we looking at it the way God looked at it. You know, you didn't have to have no paper. Now, nothing wrong with the paper, but you didn't have to have no paper to make a covenant of marriage. So just like, you know, that word, you know, I was already with my wife. We weren't married legally. Hey, but we've been together, was planning on being together, and was already sleeping together. The brother's like, yeah, that's your wife, huh? Yeah, I guess so. She's still my wife. And we went on, got married legally, but still, hey, we weren't married legally then. But I understood that I had some accountability and I couldn't just walk away from her like, you know, like we would do in the world. When you're in the world, hey, you walk away from her, be with somebody else, and say, oh, it's okay with everybody. Even the government ain't gonna say nothing to you. Government ain't gonna come down with, look, you was with her last week. Look, show you how the government is. If we go by man's law, a brother in here, he ain't gonna get away with it in here because we're gonna have to say something to him. But he can go to the police station with a different woman every week. He can walk in the police and say, hey, how you doing? They like, who is that? This is my girlfriend. Or this is my other girlfriend. This is my other girlfriend. Who gonna lock him up? In the police station. They ain't gonna say nothing to him, Mark. Because that ain't their cup of tea. They ain't worried about that. So that's what I'm saying. When you following God's law, they're gonna be more stringent than man's. So hopefully that got some understanding. That was from last week. Who asked that? Hard, I forgot who asked it. So hopefully that made sense.
I got a quick.
No, let's make sure for real. Let's make sure nobody else has none. Somebody else got a question? You had your time. That took forever. Brother Joseph, I don't see.
Me and his brother was talking about earlier in Matthew. I can't find a chapter about the moving of mountains with this
Faith.
faith
Yeah.
to the mountains. To get to the mountain,
Right.
Chapter 21.
Matthew
Oh, wait, no.
17.
Yeah.
17, where they read the first one. Matthew 17.
17 and 20.
No, Matthew 20, it's actually Matthew 21, verse 17.
Yeah, it's in a few places. It's Matthew 21 too.
It's one of Mark also, but Matthew's probably the middle.
Oh yeah, Matthew is saying. Matthew is saying. It's saying the same thing. So which one you got? 21. Yeah, it's in a bunch of places. The question was about, he said something about moving mountains. Moving mountains. Okay. So let's pick it up at 17 and 17. Okay, go ahead.
And he left them and went out of the city unto Bethany, and he lodged there. Now in the morning as he returned unto the city, he hungered. And when he saw a fig in the way, a fig tree in the way, he came to it and found nothing thereon, but leaves only, and said unto it, let no fruit grow on thee henceforth forever. And presently the fig tree withered away. And when the disciples saw, saying, how soon is the fig tree withered away? Jesus answered and said unto them, verily I say unto you, if ye have faith and doubt not, ye shall not only do this which is done to the fig tree, but also if ye shall say unto this mountain, be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, it shall be done. 22. In all things whatsoever ye shall ask in prayer, believing, ye shall receive.
Okay. So now, what's your question on that particular?
Your knowledge on that.
What that means? What he talking about?
So, I know a lot of people use that to I guess gain, to say they have some spiritual gift. They say this have faith, you can move mountains. They try to use that.
Right.
I want to do what you mean.
But in this case, it means that. It means that he just really, the analogy is that that whatever it is, you can do it if you have faith. Whatever it is, if you got faith. But see, people use faith too loosely. We know it. That's why you got all these other scriptures. We know, first of all, faith without works is dead. The commandments done away with, and you trying to come here to show me about some faith. You don't even have that because you don't have real faith. There ain't no way you gonna be able to do this unless the devil helping you, because you don't have real faith. Because faith without works is dead. That's what the Bible says. So that ain't gonna even fly right there already. And we know, you know, got the position that got to maintain the faith, or like we saw in the lesson, keep the faith. You got to keep the faith. But yeah, that means what it's saying. That just letting you know, hey, if you got true faith and you serve the Lord, you got some works to back it up, you know, it's nothing impossible. But again, even that is contingent on what God's will is. So you got all these other scriptures coming into play. It say if you, other place say, if you ask anything, because he talked about prayer. All things whatsoever you ask in prayer, believe it, you shall receive. What you mean? Yeah, I can use a little more. Yeah.
So, like, if our faith was that strong, he wasn't being literal about that. If our faith was that strong.
Yeah, I mean, he being literal too,
what,
because he kind of, you know, you can't really make a lot out of that. But what he said it's mountain cast up and cast into the sea. So, you know, we like to use it because this didn't say move mountains like other people say. You know, you can move mountains with your faith, and they start talking about, you know, incidents, or they start talking about, you know, trouble that you're going through, obstacles that you're going through, you can overcome, which is fit too. But what he's really saying, the analogy, thank you, sir. The analogy is just, you know, it's nothing impossible. And that's really what he's saying. It's nothing impossible. So that's like one of the things that have a person would say. How you gonna tell that mountain to jump up and jump in the sea? You can't do that. But he said, yeah, you can do that. Do that. Not that, but why would you want to do that? That would be the question. But he just uses something impossible. It's impossible. No, you can't tell me you can do that. So he just uses something impossible. So he is saying it like it is.
So if somebody's faith was that good, they could do that.
They could do that if that's what God wanted done. I mean, you had not that done. An example close to that, you to tell the sun, stop right there. It's getting dark. I can't kill all of this. Kill it going on. I can't, because the sun is getting ready to go down. The sun, he looked up at the sun and says, stop right there. Don't move, because I need some daylight. And the sun didn't move. I guess the Lord said, that's in Joshua. Let's read it. Joshua 10.
You talking about mountain? Talking about stopping the sun.
Right. Same thing. Same thing. So if it was necessary, you know, so that would be necessary. I think Joshua was saying if the mountain was trying to kill you, I guess kill him. But to the mountain way, move to the sea. Right. Is it 10? Joshua and 12. Joshua 10, pick it up at verse 8. Let's read verse 8. Go ahead.
Said unto Joshua, I have delivered them into the man of them saying,
a lot of times, but I want to get like them. You know, they was like on superhero status. But then I found out that they're just regular people like us. And they believe it in God. They had outrageous. Just don't fit. That means he had. I said, don't fit. Look, all these people coming out on you. The Lord saying, He's with you, but you still see all these people. Fear them not, for I have delivered them. There should not a man of them stand before you. So Joshua got to have faith and believe. Faith right there. There's a lot. Go ahead, verse 9.
Joshua unto them suddenly, Gilgal all night, And the Lord is come for Israel and slew them with a great slaughter at Gibeon, and chased them along the way that goeth up to Beth Horon, and smote them to Azekah.